Bum, 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 bum. Bristol City Centre, heading home. It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a while. I do apologise. I've just been tied up with family stuff. You understand, don't you? I'm sure you do. So what happened last? Yeah, the KTM 1290R and 1290 Superduke GT. And I want to explain where I am with it. And obviously you can see I'm still on the GS. Right, the Superduke R, no doubt about it, hands down, love that thing. That thing is great. It's everything that you think it is. It's absolutely brilliant. The GT, now the GT is a great bike, but unfortunately, once you stick a fairing on it, you know, it's a Superduke R to all intents and purposes, but once you stick that fairing on it, it just makes it another sports bike. Does that make sense? See, this is the nice thing about bus lanes and motorcycles. Look at these cars, look at them. Come on people, have some sense. It's time to get on a motorbike. Now then, it's a bit cosy, isn't it? I think I'll wait. Couldn't be bothered to wait. So, sorry, I had to concentrate then. Fucking, but what's everybody stopped there for? Fucking, everybody's parked behind that bus. Yeah, so where was I? Yeah, Superduke GT. So, took it out for the test ride. Yeah, I liked it, but then, you know, I got to thinking, and I got back on this bike after the test ride of the KTM, and I was riding this home. You know, don't get me wrong, it's you have to be committed in corners on it because it, you know, is a big old beast. But I kind of like that, you know, and flat out it probably does 125 mile an hour, absolutely flat stick. But on the road, you know, in this day and age where, well, definitely in the UK, you know, there's 64 million people in this country. You can see how bad the traffic is. There's, you know, the old bill are trying to get you all the time. The standard level of driving is shocking now in the UK. You know, speed cameras and everything else that's going on the road now. You know, how fast do you need to go? And like I said, 2 up, the missus loves it. Absolutely loves it. You know, and I can't see her perched on the back of a Superduke GT. You know, the luggage area is smaller as well. You know, which is something else I need to take into account for when we go abroad. You know, because I tend to go camping, so I need, you know, the most amount of luggage space I can, you know, that I can do is I carry tools and all the rest of the stuff, you know, all that just in case stuff, as well as all my camping gear and gear to change into. Yeah, I put some Metzler Rotex 01s on this, and they've transformed the way the bike handles on the road. You know, that mid-corner grip level is vastly improved over what did I have before, the Michelin Anarchies. You know, there was a lot, you know, the front end was quite vague with those tyres on. These have definitely transformed it. I don't know what the percentage of people that buy GS Adventures that only ride them on the road, and I'm one of them. I ain't going to take my £16,000 bloody motorbike off-road. You know, I just can't afford to do that, and I don't want to anyway. You know, there's you know, I've done off-roading, and you know, I've ticked that box. I like this bike. I like the way it looks. I like the styling. I like what it is. I like everything about it, actually. It's just, you know, I would have that Superduke R, hands down. I would have that Superduke R, but I wouldn't have it over this alone. You know, if I could afford both, that'll be happy days. If I could afford both, but I couldn't not have this in the garage. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I think you know, we all love we all love what motorcycling gives us, don't we? We enjoy the speed and the thrill and everything else and the freedom that that motorcycling gives to us. You know, that's why we all do it. But unless you've got bags of money, you know, I'm lucky enough to be able to afford this. So you get what I'm saying, don't you? It's, you know, I don't want to come across like I'm preaching that this is the best bike in the world just because I've got one, because it's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, I think BMW, they've just really got their head screwed on with it. It's just perfect. It's got the right balance of everything. You know, it's fast enough. It handles well enough and badly enough for you to get enjoyment out of it. You know, if it handled too well, you know, it probably would be a bit dull. But because you've got to like put a bit of input into it, and you know, wrestle it around the corners a little. I mean, look at this. I'm a bit worried about that line of diesel. You see it on the left. It's probably off this truck in front. Yeah, look at it all over the road. It's probably just wet, but I don't want to take any chances. It's just a package, isn't it? You know, that's what you got. That's what you've got to weigh up. Because when I was looking to buy a GS, I was looking to buy an old one, but I went to BMW, tried this new water-cooled version over the old air-cooled version, and they're worlds apart. Worlds apart. So which way to go home? I'm going to pop in and see my mate Grim. Yeah, it's a long time ago, just to give you a brief history of me and Grim. Long time ago, in the 90s, I think, we were both couriers, you know, dispatch riders. He had this, he had an R1200 RT. Is that the full-fared one, the RT? I used to take the piss out of him, somewhat chronic for that thing. Sorry, Grim. I get it now. I completely get it now. Mind you. So this is BMW. They've really got their shit together now, haven't they, BMW? You know, back in the 90s, what did they have? They had the R range and the K range. The K100s of the world and the Rs. Bloody awful, really. But suddenly, BMW have jumped on it, haven't they? They got the S1000RR, HP4, you know, bloody hell. This thing, they really have got their shit together with bikes. And, you know, is the S1000RR one of the best sports bikes on the road? It's up there, isn't it? I suppose this is a criticism of this bike, if I'm going to criticise it, is wide. Okay, I can still squeeze through traffic, but it is bloody wide. And it is tall. You know, if you're not a confident person, if you need both feet on the ground, then maybe it's not the bike for you. You know, I've got a 30-inch inside leg, and I'm just off the balls of my feet, so I'm on tiptoes. And when I've got the suspension jacked up, so when I've got the her indoors on the back, and I've got luggage or whatever on, you know, then I use the suspension and I jack the back end of it up. And that makes it really bloody tall. I am on, with the suspension jacked up, if I haven't got her on the back and luggage on, then I can just touch the ground on both sides, absolutely stretching my toes, you know, like a ballet dancer. I suppose another downside to the GS is that everybody's got one. You know, I was coming down the motorway earlier today, leaving my hometown to go to Bristol. And just about every bike I saw going the other way on the motorway was a GS. You know, if that bothers you, then maybe this bike isn't for you. But it doesn't bother me. You know, it says to me that you know, there's a reason why people buy the bloody things. Really, it's because they're good. Oh dear God, was that a cyclist? I reckon somebody hit somebody there. Screen was well smashed in. That's like somebody gone over the bonnet and into the screen. shit roads. The old bill are trying to get you. You know, so you need to keep your speed down. You need to be sort of semi-sensible on the road, don't you? And this bike lets you do that. It lets you ride within the limits of the law quite easily. And if you're outside the limits of the law, you know, it can only go so quick. It is the best bike I've ever owned. I just can't imagine not having one now in the garage, ever. You know, I rode the S1000XR. You know, because you can't take the child out of you, can you? You know, you always think, you know, these 4-cylinder 1000cc machines, you think, God, that's going to be good, isn't it? But I didn't enjoy it. It was too buzzy, too revvy. You know, if I was doing touring on it, it would drive me mental doing 80 mile an hour for 400 miles. It just doesn't do everything that this does, except go quicker. That's all. And I don't need quicker. Right, well, I'm going to pop into my mate Grim, say hello, have a cup of tea, and I'll be back out soon. And then I'll find a nice little quiet spot, and we'll go around the bike, and I'll show you the things that niggle me. And look at the turning circle you can turn in. Okay, that was uneventful. He wasn't in, bastard. Hello, hello. Are you at home? Oh, that sounds nasty. Sorry about that. You phoned me up. Right, let's find somewhere quiet to pull over, and we'll talk. We'll talk about the bike. Cherhill White Horse. There. I don't know if you can make it out on the camera. And Cherhill Monument. This is the county of Wiltshire. I know where we stop. Wagon and Horses. It's an old pub. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Silbury Hill, just right in front of us, or coming up on my left-hand side. Dates back 3,000 odd years. I think it's even more than that. They can't date it accurately because they're not too sure what it is. Let's get up here where it's nice and quiet. So yeah, Silbury Hill. Okay, left-hand cluster. So you've got your trip and your info, obviously, to scroll through. You know, oil temperature, engine temperature, fuel consumption 1, 2, average speed, you know, tyre pressures, all that sort of thing. Obviously, the indicators, your horns there. Your high beam is round the back there, and this is the cruise control. So off like that, across like that is cruise control on, and then you set it by pushing it forward, and then you can rock it forward and backwards to adjust your speed if you need to. This here is one of my niggles. For the life of me, I don't know why BMW didn't put that on that side of the cluster. You know, because it's great that it's there. It's very functional. You know, when you've got the satellite navigation fitted. Now, when you don't have the satellite navigation fitted, that's just in the way of your main cluster. They could have put that on that side. That cluster would have been near your hand, and it would have just been easier to use. And it's like the high beam is very hard to feel when you've got gloves on. So BMW, put that on that side on future models, please, and bring that cluster closer to your hands, because that's the stuff you use all the time. That's one of my niggles. On the other side, okay, obviously you've got engine start and stop. Mode, so you have road, so you can see it changing down the bottom. Okay, so you get to the one you want, and you pull in the clutch, okay, and then that sets it. Very simple. Again, on this side you've got the heated grips. Essential in Britain, essential. Right, another niggle, walk around this side, is, now I've got a rear hugger fitted, which is an aftermarket accessory, but even with that fitted, your leg on this side gets absolutely soaking wet. So that's the right hand side of the bike, okay, even with a rear hugger fitted, your leg gets wet through from your arse to your foot, absolutely soaking wet. On the left hand side it doesn't. Actually, I'll show you it working. Okay, so I'll come out of the map. So when you first turn it on, you get that screen. Touch that, you get the map screen, and with this dial you can zoom in and zoom out. You can rock it left or right, okay, which takes you into different menus. So you can set this up yourself. If you tap on it, it will give you an option to you know, so you can put average mile per gallon. You know, there's other things you can select. You know, I set it for speed and time of day. Then if you've got a Bluetooth headset, you can hold to speak, and so I can dial somebody, you know, set waypoints. I can set it to go home, which is already programmed into the satellite navigation. You know, there's all these other different menus. You can't dial, oh, that's the music, so it's got a limited storage on there. It's not very much. Good album, by the way. So the suspension, if you tap like that, okay, it will scroll through soft, normal or hard. Okay, now if you hold it down, you see the little I feel the bike going up. So there is rider and luggage. Hold it down again, rider and pillion. Hold it down again, single rider. Okay, so it's just risen up because obviously I've gone through the menu. You can't adjust the suspension on the fly. You've got to do it while the bike is stood still. So all in all, I hope I've summed it up. I hope I've summed up where I am with it, and my reasoning behind the whole KTM thing. Sorry, Derv man, it's been taking so long. And this is Marlborough High Street. I believe this is the widest high street in the country. Anyway, there we are. I think I've summed it up. I'll probably still waffle on every now and then, or show you a bit more footage as we get home. I'm trying to think if there's anything I haven't covered, really. I don't think there is. Obviously, if you've got any questions, stick them at the bottom, and I'll do my best to answer them. See, top gear, just pinned it. Easy. Alright, I'm nearly home, so again, thanks for watching. Cheers for now. You know, in this day and age, you can't do those speeds anymore. You know, you might, yes you can, but you can't, mate. There's too much out there trying to get you. You know, then shit like that happens.